Shabbat Shalom. This week's Torah portion is Eikev. Eikev is an unusual word. It actually means if or and if, or and if because, if then. And it basically says in this Torah portion, since we received the Shema through Moses last week, it now continues with the second paragraph to tell us if we follow these commandments and what we will receive. And Rashi likes to explain that the literal meaning of the word Eikev means heal. And when we delve deeply into understanding what it means to observe the commandments, we realize that it isn't for us to just aim for those that seem lofty and big, but to recognize that even the simplest ones, even the ones that are like easy to forget, like at the bottom of our heel, are meaningful. So this is a week to really lean into understanding how to listen to your life's opportunities to fill it with meaning, not only from the opportunities to do something meaningful that's big, but just from those tiny small steps that you take in life where you are intentional in your actions and you have meaning. So I'm taking the cards, split it into three, and now we're going to climb the mountain to see what we can go a little bit deeper with this week's Torah. So the first card, hopefully you can kind of see the mountain. Yeah, a little bit. So the first card is the card that we enter. It's the foundation. We enter into this week's Torah portion with some fear. So it's kind of interesting. I mean, you don't take tiny steps without acknowledging that there is an unknown ahead of you, and that acknowledgement of the unknown is what cultivates your capacity to lean in and move. And yeah, that's an interesting thing. And I certainly feel like when you look at this moment, there is a lot that's happening in our world that is, for a long time now, cultivating fear, but it's heavy for at least me right now. It surrounds us. So that alertness that happens when you recognize that there's something you need to do is the gift of fear. Our intuition is awakened, and we have to become aware of how we want to move forward from that. So the steps we need to take right now, and this is really interesting, is to commit to the practices that are meaningful in our life. So this says radiant, and the Baal Shem Tov talks about in this week's Torah what it means to be a radiant source of light by following not just those commandments that are lofty, but all of those small ways in which we acknowledge that we have a connection that illuminates our soul, and that by living with that awareness and letting our actions reflect that awareness, we shine. So that's what the energy is that we need to bring in this week, is those practices that light us up. The wisdom that we can take more deeply from this week's Torah portion is, that's super cool, Shuvah. So this week I'm introducing a new campaign, Return to the Wisdom Within. I shuffled these cards. I did not intend for you to see this. I want you to see that these two colors are absolute opposites on the color wheel. Opposites infuse energy into each other. When your actions are full of intention, you are actually returning to the path that is already yours. This card, Return to the Wisdom of Shuvah, is actually what we begin next week as we enter the month of Elul. This is an invitation to each of us to return to a relationship with the source of energy that's guiding our life. And I want to invite each of you to join me on this path, and there'll be information later as to how. how the advice from our higher self as to how to begin the journey of return is to touch into the ways that we feel the need to move. So pain, while it looks like it's scary to receive an intense color and an intense word like this, it's actually a gift. We would not move if we didn't feel a necessity of movement. We would become lazy and couch potatoes. So there's pain that is physical, there's pain that is spiritual, and it awakens our soul and our body to get up and to stretch and to strengthen. And so by tuning in to the ways in which we feel a need for change in our lives, we will grow. Ultimately, the outcome of this week's Torah is that a new blessing enters into our life. I wish each of you a Shabbat Shalom.